that one alone. And then MBUU. What's going on? I'd probably leave that one alone too. Haladala peoples, what's up? Mr. Ramos, hello. Usman, what you got? RL? You know what, Usman? You can. If it takes out this trend line, you could go, you know, with an RL. But it's kind of busted a little bit lower right now on earnings. So, you know, you got to be careful because if it just sits here, it's going to bounce, right? So you got to be careful. Like when you're looking at kind of a gapper like that, you got to be careful of like where like the ranges are inside the stock, right? So like even though it's kind of busting lower on earnings, because it's going to come into this like kind of demand zone, that's where, you know, you've got to be a little bit more mindful. So just something to kind of keep an eye on. I'd leave that one maybe alone unless it starts to break some levels over there. So, you know, make sure that, you know, you got a good kind of good plan for it. Let's take a look, guys. So the market itself is gapping down. Remember, today is like election day. So you've got like midterm elections, which is, you know, it could go either way. Nobody really knows, right? But one of the things that happens today that you've got to be kind of prepared for. Hold on, let me get up this fucking stair stepper. Got to get a little exercise in the morning, right? One of the things to remember about, you know, when the market has like an election day type of thing, you will get like 3 or 4 shakeouts. So like the market's going to open weak, then it'll probably thrust green, then it's going to come back. So on a day like today, you've got to really, really trade fast, you know, and make sure to use stop losses on days like this. I've often caught like really good volatility, but then what'll happen is you'll be in a position and the bottom just drops out because, you know, there's some news out or there's something going on. And so, you know, I would just be really careful on that. We're getting a weak open. I wouldn't be surprised to see us kind of fill this gap here. But on the other side of things, I'm in a fucking webinar. What's wrong with you? Get your shit together. Sorry. Yeah, same type of deal over here, right? So this thing's moving on. So NEO's like a cult stock. It's like SRP. So like it is breaking out of this. It is breaking out of this resistance here. You got 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests. You got a nice bottoming process over here, but it's a cult stock like XRP. It trades really thick. You can tell by the volume it trades really, really thick. So you're gonna have to be careful. I do have it on my watch list. If it thrusts up here in the morning, and because it's thick, I won't try to ORB this. You know, normally I like to ORB this, but because it's thick, if I don't get a picture perfect ORB, what you'll want to do is wait for it to pull back to the 9 or 20 EMA, and you might have to let it hold for like 1 or 2 candles, and then let that thing ride up to the, you know, ride back up. So just be mindful of it and watch the volume on this thing because it trades really, really thick, and so it can, you know, man, it's just a thick stock. That's the best way to kind of put that. I got a couple gap down plays over here. This car is moving on earnings right now. It's already got a good pre-market range. I'd keep that one on watch. It actually trades pretty clean for the most part. That one looks pretty good. NKTR, we got a bear flag over here. This one's been in a big downtrend. If it gets in kind of under this level, I think it should be good. I'm not going to short this thing if it starts to pop back, you know, green. I need this thing to kind of hit back towards 36 and then ORB. This GSKY is another one that's getting kind of smoked on some news right now. You got like a big gap down past these lows. I mean, look at the pre-market trend on this bad boy. You're already getting some really nice action. So I'm going to probably, because the SSR is going to be on this one, I'll let this thing pop up, run into the 9 EMA and start to roll over. I think this one could have some juice though. You know, it's been getting smoked for a while. Same type of deal. It's really the same pattern as GSKY, right? This thing's got some type of news out too, and it's already getting smoked out here. So same exact deal that I'll do on on GSKY. On the other aspect of things, you know, there's a few different stocks that are hanging out that I think should be good to go. I've added in some of these pot stocks to the thing. You know, we got a bottom breakout on this PYX. It had a lot of momentum. It was the hottest stock in the market yesterday. You can see here, like, after the big red to green, you got like a flag pattern that kind of ripped a couple dollars, and it closed well. It's opening red. It's opening red on the day. And if it goes red to green, I think this one's going to have, you know, some good juice on it too. CJC, same type of deal. It broke over its 9 EMA, which is when you're doing kind of a little bit more of a bottoming process for a couple days. That's the first break you got to look for. It's opening red too. I'll watch this one for a red to green. If this thing starts to trend down, I won't try to bottom fish this thing because, well, frankly, it's just not gonna. If it starts to fade back down, you may see this thing back at the 200 SMA in no time. So you got to be real careful with this one. Only if it goes red to green, I'll add this one for a potential long. If it doesn't go red to green, I'd leave this one alone because you're just not going to get the heat that you need on this one. Happy Election Day to you too, TNA. How you doing? Anthony, what's going on? You want to look at tops? So those two, add those two in for the list from yesterday. And tops, this okay. I mean, it could bounce here. Shippers are notorious for kind of doing this, right? You know, you are getting a gap up. I'd watch that kind of $2 mark. The daily chart on this thing is really nasty, so just, you know, trade what you see on it. Hey, Mike, how you doing? MRNS. You know, this thing is stuck in a range, right? So when you look at, like, a chart, right, when you think about, like, where it is or where it can go, you know, see how, like, this one fell down this much, but then it popped up into 200, but now it's stuck between these two moving averages. It's just kind of stuck, right? And so, you know, you're just stuck mid-range. So when you're stuck mid-range, it's kind of like, what are you going to do with it, right? And that I don't know. I mean, if you were trying to swing it, I guess you could use 525 as, like, your risk. What's a short squeeze, Anthony? So, you know, you can use 525 as kind of your risk on this if you really wanted it, but, you know, not my particular brand of fart. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so with Neo coming in, like, I would watch out. So if Neo starts to run, watch this QTT and some of these other Chinese names. You know, you may start to see a couple of them start getting picked up. You know, PDD tends to move really nice too. Dun, 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 dun. PTX, this one's a grinder too. Look at how it just kind of grinds higher. Yeah. 50-50 on that one. A couple other ones that I do like. I like this MNK today. Right? So MNK, only if it can hang out over 29.39. Anything under 29.39, I think it fades. But you're coming out of this big, long kind of, whose shorts are getting forced? I don't get it. Anthony, speak clearly. You've been taking class now for 6 months. You should know how to ask a proper question and stop speaking in code. Now, this thing's got to break over 29.53 to get this thing going. Otherwise, it's just dead. VSEL, over 15. VSEL, over 15. Only if it goes over 15... then it's a go, right? So you're gapping up on a little bit of news over here. I won't take this thing. If it's at 14, if it's at 14.50 or something like that and it ORBs, I won't take it, right? But if it busts over $15, then I'm going to start looking at this thing for a potential long. Otherwise, you know, we leave it alone. Anybody been trading this damn NIHD? This thing probably still has another day in it. It was a little sloppy yesterday, but it might have another day in this bad boy. Dun, 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 dun. Take out all this junk. Good, good, good. Let's see here. The only other one that I kind of liked was, where'd it go? This Go-Go looks kind of hot too. Not you, Anthony, the other Anthony. if this thing busts over this 200 SMA, then it's going to be good to go, right? So you got your 200-day moving average over here. Now, the problem with this one is it's already fading back off. Usually, if you pre-market, if you can't break and hold over like your resistance level, then the area is done. So, you know, we may have to take this one off the list. We'll see how it opens. Otherwise, you know, just take it off. Remember, guys, that today's just going to be choppy as all hell because, you know, you have an election day going. So you've got to be just real careful, like, when you're trading this stuff, because I've had a couple days on this stuff. Like, you'll see stuff like this, you know, like where you'll be like, you know, the market might be tanking, and say you're trading like this TVIX or something, and you'll get like a $2 candle to the downside when you're not even looking. And then, you know, your day's ruined, right? So you just got to be real careful. On a day like today when the volatility will increase due to news, just use hard stop losses. Like, I typically always use mental stops. But if you start to see the market really moving around, then start using hard stops, because it's going to be hard to control. You know, the last thing you want to do is, right, have like be in some hot stock, you go take a shit, and then next thing you know, you're down $2,000. Happened to me quite a few times in my life. Never that fun, right? That's an expensive bathroom break. So just use the hard stops on a day like today. And the other thing to do, like when the market is really shifty like this, is like focus in on the earnings plays and what's moving around. Because these stocks will move independent to what's happening with the market. The beauty of trading gappers and earnings plays is that they have an order flow and a volume that's independent to what's happening with the ebb and flow of the general market, right? So they'll move on their own, and that becomes really important. If any of you guys are trading cryptos, I'd keep an eye on this BCH. Yeah, I hit some of this in the morning, but this thing's got a ton of momentum. It's breaking out over here today. I'd watch this. I trade on 15-minute charts on here, but if this thing kind of rips these highs, you may see a little bit more. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing into the 700s and over the next day or two. I believe that they have a hard fork coming on November 15th. So when you have a hard fork, you get the free coin. So usually what'll happen is people start to run up the price in advance of the hard fork. And so I think we long this in the chat room at like 582 or something in the crypto chat. But I'm looking to kind of double up if I can see a hot little setup. So just something to kind of keep mind of. You know, this thing's got some juice. The crypto market's been dead, but you're starting to see pockets of, you know, momentum, and that's going to be, you know, that's going to be just huge overall. Boom. All right, my friends, trade well today. Remember, be safe. Election day, go vote if you vote, but don't have shitty trades, because that's the easiest way to ruin your life. All right, I love you guys. Peace.